Alright, we're going to try this again. I don't know what the issue is. However, you probably joined us not too long ago during qualifying until the stream started having issues. I've changed internet to hopefully change the issue. I don't know if it's my internet or if it's maybe Titans on the... It's messing with it. I don't understand what the issue is, but we're going to figure it out. Back to qualifying. We were, what, 5 minutes left? 6 minutes left in session? Somewhere around that area. I apologize for the constant technical difficulties with the stream. Thank you for those who've kept along with us. I really do apologize. We'll get it figured out for F2 tomorrow. And if we don't, that's not good. I'm just going to say that at the least, because for F2, there's a constructors battle, so we're going to hope that there's no problem with that. If the stream was going out due to power, it'd be a different story, but it's just going out by itself, and I don't understand why. Let's go back to the qualifying session. All right. Here we go. 2 minutes left in the session. This is actually a perfect time to come back into the session. I wish we caught a little more of the action, but we did not. Which is completely okay, somewhat, right? Because it's the calm before the storm is what they call it. So improvements was Beatnik, improvements was Molly, and here come more improvements. Valkyrie starting a lap. We're going to go on board with her because she's going to be the first driver to cross the line to set the stage for the rest of the field. An 8-1, can we get into the 7s? Now becomes the question for qualifying. Valkyrie getting a little tow here in the run to turn 4 from the Alpine. But this Alpine in front of her is Molly, who's on an in-lap. So is Valkyrie feeling like she's getting blocked right here by Molly? Well, Molly does dip out of the way, so no issue there. Turn 6, turn 7 now. Inside curb can become an issue, but Valkyrie hits the apex beautifully. Now she does turn 7, turn 8, and turn 9 right here. Hugging the inside curb, trying to find time at the apex. Now to turn 10. Cars in front, the AlphaTauri and the Alfa Romeo as well. Getting out of the way is the AlphaTauri, but turn 12 coming up here. What's the sector split looking like? 2/10. So this could be top 5 for Valkyrie. How is it going to fare out for the Mercedes driver who does not have a podium to her name this season? The only one inside the top 8 in the championship who doesn't have a podium to her name. Coming to the line, it is going to be 4th fastest. Splits the 2 Ferraris. Behind that, there are more drivers also on track and coming to complete lap times. There's the Ferrari, that's Owen. He goes 3rd fastest, a 10th of an improvement. Also behind that, there might have been someone who invalidated, but L74G does get to the flag just in time. The next driver to come across the line is Instincts. Coming to the sector split, Instincts, a 10th down in his time, so no improvement from Instincts by the looks of things right here. Checker flag is out, it becomes now or never for the drivers. Next is a Mercedes drivers as well behind that. That's Beatnik, a 10th up in his time. Beatnik trying to beat his teammate as well. Instincts comes with the checker flag, no improvement. Beatnik comes to the line. It is an improvement. It's ahead of Instincts right there. So Beatnik does pass his teammate. Also, coming to the line is a McLaren. That person 2/10 up and could be going to pull right here with how much he's improving. Coming to the line right now. That person goes 2nd. And stays 2nd and cannot improve a spot. Jackstar goes 8th. Bonkers aborts the lap time. There's an Aston Martin. That's JTK. He aborts the lap time. Blue Goggy's been disqualified. The Williams and Strat Racer is next as well, following a Mercedes coming to the line. Both of them coming to the line. Tons of momentum. Strat Racer could not improve a place. L74G does not improve a place either. That person just 24 thousandths off of the pole, but on the front row for McLaren this time. Front row with Alpine, front row with McLaren. But it is bonkers for the Red Bull team. He cannot improve. He did it on his 2nd lap. Takes pole position for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Red Bull, McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, your top 4. 25,000 that person missed out on. Just unfortunate, and he's disappointed with that. Rightfully so. Here's your qualifying order. Look at the gap from first to ninth. 5.5 tenths almost. Interesting gap at the front of the field. That's for sure. A lot to play for in this Brazilian Grand Prix. You have Bonkers, Dat Person, Owen, Beatnik, Instincts, your top 5. After that is Valkyrie, Molly, Jackstar, L74G, JTK, your top 10. Outside the top 10 includes Trot Racer, PK, Gecko, FBL, Jimbob, and Blue Goggy. Blue Goggy disqualifying himself from the session at the very end there. But there's your lineup. So, dry race means one-stop strategy. Soft to hards, medium to hard, soft to medium, or the reverse strategy of any of those tire compounds. It can go either way. Likely soft hard, medium hard is the way you're going here, most likely. But we will let you know if anything else changes, especially due to any sort of safety cars. We mentioned tricky corners, but it's now time for the Tier 2 finale of the season to get underway. Here we go. Waiting for the lights to come on for the Grand Prix here at Brazil. Here we go. Here they come. 5 red lights, getting in gear, getting revved up. And it's go time for the Tier 2 finale of the season. Bonkers gets away well. Dat Person with a poor start. Cannot defend from the Ferrari of Owen. Owen around the outside trying it at Descent S. And behind that, they all get squirmish as they come through turn number 3. There's contact at the back. They were 3 wide. And around Blue Goggy, Valkyrie, and a ton of cars go. Jackstar's involved. Molly's involved. I think FBL picked up a bit of damage. And now there's a safety car. An absolute frightening start, which collected a couple of cars to turn 3, which saw a lot of 3 wide action. It is over for Jackstar and Molly already. Molly from Hero to 0. A good qualifying spot, a good podium last week, but that does not mean anything this week. With the safety car being brought out on lap 1, let's see where things go from here. Molly upset with the driving standards and blaming that for the cause of his DNF. As for what we're looking at strategy-wise now, look at the drivers. Only Jim Bob, the only one on the softs. I expect this race to go very interesting now that there's a lap 1 safety car. Likely you would pit to hards. Maybe pit to medium. I don't know. I'm thinking here on where you'd go for the drivers. Obviously, a majority of them staying out unless there's any damage to any of them. Valkyrie is one of them. I saw that turn 3 collision and it just was never going to end well. Valkyrie started on the hards. So considering she started on the hards, smart way I'm thinking that would be to go is softs and then go mediums lap 15 there. Now that the safety car is out. So it's time to find out. 2 cars eliminated already from this race. And not what you'd wanted to see for its season finale. Jackstar, a podium to his name this season. Molly, a podium to his name. But there you go. So as the race gets neutralized under the safety car, you've Bonkers, Owen, Dat Person, Beatnik, L74G, the top 5, Beatnik on the hards, Instincts on the hards, Gecko on the hards, Lugaki on the hards. Here are your position changes throughout the opening lap. Owen up a place, L74G up 4 places in that little melee of turn 3 there. L74G gained quite the amount of places there. JTK 3, PK 4, Traverser 2, Gecko 3, and the safety cars calling it quit to the pit lane, and here we go. It's a very quick restart here, and a very late one from the safety car. Here we go. Bonkers controls the way, and controls when he wants to go in the Red Bull. A very short safety car stint, and a very short run to the line. Meaning, as JTK heads to the pits, passing everybody, Bonkers goes now! Here he goes! JTK speeds, but Bonkers is away. Owen trying to defend from that person, and behind that, Beatnik and L74G gonna go wheel to wheel at turn 1. L74G on the inside line for turn 1, Beatnik inside line for turn 2, side by side, but L74G gets the better of Beatnik there. And also Instincts trying to follow with Tratracer. Tratracer behind, gonna duck to the inside. Here's Beatnik and L74G thinking of a move on one another, but Tratracer is down the inside. They're side by side at turn 4. There's a little bit of touching. There's more touching. Instincts goes off the road, and so does Tratracer. They both lose places, and now the Bullard's getting destroyed. Oh, and Owen has crashed. Owen's on the order, and now that's going to bring out the safety car. Owen losing places, but no front wing. No front wing has been lost from that as well. Well, that was interesting. Why is safety car only over that? That makes no sense. Well, this does help JTK, who had to pit there under the safety car and pitted coming to the green. Gecko and PK, credit to those two. Look at the positions gained from the start now. Both 7. And you know why that is? Well, that's also why, because the melee, but it's also because the fact that they took advantage of Tratracer and Instincts both going off the road. I'm sure that's going to get an investigation from the steward's office as FBL and Valkyrie both enter the pit lane. And Gecko spun under the safety car. Gecko, who I was just talking about, gaining those places, now has throwing damage and has got involved in an incident under the safety car. Well, it is not going to plan for these Tier 2 drivers. I'll tell you that right now. You know, we talk about incidents per race. Molly, frustrated with driving standards. It's the second best tier when it comes to driving standards out of the 3. F2 being the one that's worse. It's better by a decent bit than F2. It's slightly worse than Tier 1 by a little bit. These guys have been inconsistent on their driving standards, so I'm hoping we get these safety cars out of the way now so we can have some racing action that goes along with it. If we can get the action back underway, then that'd be perfect. Anytime here, you know? I don't think we'll get it in at the end of this lap, but we'll definitely get it in at the end of next lap as we have JTK coming out of the pit lane for a second time in this race. It's not the way he wanted to start his race at all. Aston Martin definitely don't want to start this race this way at all for both drivers now. Aston Martin last week with a 3-4 finish on their team's cars. If you're tuning into the action for the first time in RPL, make sure you give us a follow toward the Twitch. Also, make sure you tune in tomorrow for the F2 finale of the season as well. F2 is a championship fight on their hand for the Constructors title. Skither already getting the Drivers' Championship, an American winning the Drivers' Championship in F2. He already did it before, just not in F2, I don't think. So, Skither taking over at the top of the table. The man who's got the hand on the trophy. But he has one hand on the trophy out of 2 because his team Searles are trying to win the Constructors title for the first time. If they can do that, they honestly probably break some records with it. Prema's trying to go for their 5th title. Searles going for their 1st. So a lot of history to be made tomorrow in RPL. It's either the dominant team who does it again, or the team that's either barely raced and either finish last every other season or only finished the best of third. You look at it either way out of those three. That's exactly where Searles is going. 11:15 a.m. Eastern and 4:15 p.m. UK for the action tomorrow for F2. 3 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. UK for the action for Tier 1 there at Hungary. F2 at Abu Dhabi. And JTK is just getting caught up just now. We should see the safety car in at the end of this lap, and we do. Bunkers still leads the way. And look at this. We've spent the first 5 laps under the safety car. You'd think there'd be more that was spent under the safety car with it, or just more laps to go with it, but there's not. There's been a short safety car and a slightly longer one. However, track distance is a lot shorter than other tracks around here, so good thing it's not that long of a track for safety car periods. Safety car is in, and now we're just waiting on Bunkers to go, and he does go already. Here we go. Back to the green, and now SM4G wants his piece of action. Second place in this race, down the inside. He's already going for it before turn 1. They're side by side. They almost make contact, but that person holds onto the spot, and now Owen gets the other Academy driver of Blue Goggy right there in the process. Now here comes Owen for 8th place on Jim Bob. Owen inside of Jim Bob before turn 4. Gets the move done. In front of that, here's Tret Racer again on PK. The second Ferrari Academy driver that he's battling. They touch wheels for a moment, and spinning off of the back again is Gecko, who had front wing damage previously, hindering his races and chances more once again. So, everyone staying within a second who's at the front of the pack for the way things look right now. Jim Bob and Goggy, they also trade spots. Here comes Tret Racer trying to line up a move on PK. Gets the gears faster on the gearbox, thinking of which way he's going to go, thinking of when he's going to do it. Hits the back of PK, I believe, right there for a moment. Either way, I think everything has got a little sorted out because we now have a second gap between a couple drivers at the front of the field. But here comes Instincts again on Tret Racer. Part 2 of this little battle they've had. 3 abreast almost for a second, but it's PK defending on Tret Racer. Tret Racer inside line for turn 2. They touch wheels as Tret Racer outside line for turn 3 with Instincts following. Instincts now wants his chance, and Owen gonna try to debacle all 3 of them. Here's Tret Racer outside of PK at turn 4, side by side. They touch wheels. Tret Racer off the road again, and here's Instincts once again on the inside. Instincts side by side, outside line for turn number 6, turn 7 area. Gonna have the inside line for turn 9 coming up. Tret Racer trying to hold his ground for all he can. However, Instincts has got the inside line now once again. Here they come, they touch again. Here's Owen, his teammate, gonna take advantage. Owen wants his piece of action. Owen slams his teammate just a little bit. Contact between the 2 Ferraris. Seems like a lot of slamming. A lot more bobbing and weaving between the drivers with PK, Tret Racer, and Instincts. And Owen took advantage of that little DRS train as it will be enabled on the run to turn 4 this time from 5th on back. There you go. Here is Tret Racer again trying to defend off Owen. And Owen to the outside. Owen gonna have the inside line for turn 2, but Tret Racer covered it off. You asked for the drivers in front. We switch to L714 Beatnik battling for the podium place. Beatnik is ahead and goes far to the inside line to protect it as well. Here is Tret Racer with Owen and PK. Once again, no move could be made. However, I think there was a move made between JTK and Blue Goggy. Spot traded there, and here's Owen also following suit on Tret Racer. Owen, which way is he gonna go? Inside line, they touch wheels. And I think Tret Racer also tried to avoid running the back of PK, but got a little bit of touching done there. Not that he wanted to, but he did. As Owen inside line on Tret Racer once again. Owen gets the spot, is ahead. Now it's Instincts trying to get the upper edge on Tret Racer once again. It's Ferrari doing what they can with both cars. Oh, spinning around, that's Jim Bob. Jim Bob's gonna go out of the points with that as well. And here comes Valkyrie and Goggy. Valkyrie, outside line, they bang! And Blue Goggy has to yield the place, and Owen gets ahead of PK. And here's Valkyrie and JTK inside line there for turn number 1. Valkyrie gets the upper edge and gets the move done, and here we go. 4 cars under a blanket again for turn number 4. Owen trying to hold on from PK. PK trying to hold on with Travis and Instincts. They try to go wheel to wheel, but couldn't make anything of it. And JTK gets the move done on Valkyrie once again. And the lead is close. Bonkers, that's why it's close. He's just spun from the lead. Down the order he goes. And not what he needed. He's out of the podium places. And now the DRS train goes back to 8th as Jim Bob. Also, a little debacle there with FBL. Second place now becomes Beatnik and L74G. This is close. Looks like Gecko spun earlier due to warming up the tires, so that would make sense. However, here comes L74G in the wing of Beatnik. Gets the move done. Oh, and also on Bonkers, the 2 previous teammates. And also Instincts and PK. Instincts gets ahead. And going wide, there was Tret Racer losing time at the end of that battle. But Beatnik is coming back at L74G. Cannot get anything done from this. Bonkers following in the wings of Owen once again. Waiting on the right opportunity. He slides, Owen does. Owen trying to fend off this pack of cars that is hungry behind him for places up in front. About to reach the 3rd waypoint of this race. You know, I must say, switching from Red Bull to Ferrari does not seem too easy in this league all the time, but Owen, he's got the pace advantage over Beatnik and L74G to catch up to them. However, he's got a pack of cars behind which are very, very hungry for positions. Bonkers being the first one of them. In front of that, Beatnik and L74G trade positions as well once again. And here's Bonkers again with Instincts following again. Instincts now trying around the outside of Bonkers. Bonkers gonna hold the spot for now, but almost getting a tap from the rear. L74G coming back at Beatnik. Nothing can be done right there. Jim Bob with a penalty. Here they go. Ducking out. Ducking to the left. Ducking to get away from the slipstream. And around the outside, Instincts is going to go. They're going to keep it wheel to wheel by turn 4 and turn number 5. As they go down the straight here to turn 6. It's Bonkers who holds the place for now. But Instincts wants more. Instincts can just not sit behind him for much longer until he gets more impatient. Cannot hold it for much longer because he's got his teammate who's following right there as well. His teammate wants some of the action, and look at what that's doing battling. It is losing time to L74G and Beatnik, who are running second right now. And this race has been absolutely thrown up in the air with Bonkers spinning. Bonkers spun, gave the spot to that person, Beatnik and L74G. They hang on to the podium for McLaren, Mercedes, and AlphaTauri. Gap split by 2.6 seconds between the front 3. Here comes Instincts once again. He's farther ahead of his teammate. He can settle this himself now. Inside line at turn 1. No, he actually backed out of that time, as there was a penalty given there to either Gecko or Jim Bob. But that adds trouble to their races. Either way, Instincts once again with the DRS opened, rear wing this time, giving the advantage to the Ferrari driver. Inside line, gets the move done. He dove from far back and got ahead. Now Owen can have his chance at the other driver. Valkyrie on Trat Racer gets the move done at the back of the train. And I say the other driver because, you know, Instincts already took advantage of Bonkers. Now it's Owen's chance to do just that. PK also waiting in the wings for something to happen. Perfect opportunity for a Ferrari Academy driver to also take advantage of what the Ferrari Academy drivers are taking advantage of in front of that, except the higher-ups of Ferrari. No one looks close enough this time on the front straight. However, looks like they're going to be setting themselves up for turn number 4 this time. Remember, the straight line speed does a lot of it. You look at the back of this field with JTK, Valkyrie, 2 cars that are extremely slow in the straight line. Does not help your situation here when it comes to the DRS. Does not help your situation when it comes to following one another, trying to make the move. You got to do it all in the corner sometimes. Or just have the DRS right there and be close enough. You can see JTK was close enough to PK. Took advantage potentially of a mistake. Little hit from PK, but nothing was an issue there for JTK. JTK is ahead for 7th place. Oh, going wide. There's Bonkers. Bonkers struggled there through turn 6 and 7. And now that gives the spot to Owen. And that puts both them out of DRS. So Ferrari take advantage in 2 now. In sync, pretty much, as we're about to reach the 33% completion percentage of this race. L74G Beatnik still so close. Beatnik looks like he's closing in little by little on that person now. Bonkers gets the move done before turn 1. That was done with ease. Still got JTK following suit as well. Just got past PK not too long ago. JTK, you know the Aston Martins want their chance to have a good finish similar to last week. They're going to try to do just that again. Bonkers holding on with Owen. JTK following again. They just can't make anything of it. And you see as well, I don't know if there was a mistake from L74G or not, but he actually is out of DRS from Beatnik right now. And to me, that's a little worrisome if I'm being honest with you guys. FPL with a penalty, third driver in this race to pick up a penalty. And we switch to the tires because it looks like in about any time from now to lap 20, we're going to see some pit stops being made. Actually, maybe 23 at most if you're a hard runner. The different strategy games will come into play. And now it's time for some of the drivers to play some mind games with it. You can already see some mind games being played, but not a whole lot. I don't see anybody pitting inside the points as we stand right now. Valkyrie close to PK once again in this train, trying to situate themselves out. That was Valkyrie getting close to the back of PK right there for 8th place. However, not close enough for any contact, luckily. As again, Bonkers trying to defend Owen, and Valkyrie trying to get the move done once and for all. Down the inside, is through, but slides in the process. Can she hold on? Yes. She is ahead, and she's clear of PK. So Valkyrie trying to end her season off strong as well. The Mercedes, again, we mentioned in the pre-race, no podiums to her name when it comes to results in the season. She's been close a couple times. She really should have had a podium here and there, but post-race penalties, post-race appeals, that all is a factor. It gets in the way sometimes. So a season that's been everything good but podiums, I would call it, has just not been exactly what you would expect from a Mercedes driver. And first of our drivers coming into pit is Bonkers. He actually speeds in the pit lane. That is crucial toward this race. Strat Racer comes in as well. And that's Gecko spinning at turn 12. He's out of this race. Does this cause a safety car and hinder some of the pit stops that are being made right now, such as Bonkers and Strat Racer who go to the hards? The answer is no. Valkyrie slotting again. Following cars. The Dirty Air not doing its job to help Valkyrie here. JTK also lost sights to Owen in the process as well. Jim Bob speeds in the pit lane as well. So critical for his chances if he wants to get inside the points today. Here come the second batch of our drivers who could be coming into the pit lane. That person who leads this race could be the first one. And I believe that's the Aston Martin of FPL who spun. B-Nick, L74G, they all passed the pits. PK is spun. That's at the end of that DRS train. So you can see PK's tires are just falling off right here. Will PK pit? The answer is also yes. And Valkyrie with a 3-second time penalty to her name. Bonkers now trying to defend from FPL after that. Here comes FPL back at it. Cannot make anything of it. Strat Racer gets by PK. PK also might be passed by Blue Goggy right here as PK had previously spun. So now Blue Goggy, 11th place on our boards right now, is going to have a chance for points at the end of today, it looks like. Just got to put that full race together. I'm secretly rooting for Blue Goggy to do that. Blue Goggy cannot seem to put a full race together in the last 4 months, I would say, of RPL as Strat Racer picks up another penalty to his name for this race. I noticed the stats, and I noticed the amount of racecraft. Goggy is always running in the points, just barely, but does not put the full thing together. And that's exactly where you separate drivers who get a full-time seat compared to drivers who really are in one, but can't put anyone else in it. And it's not any disrespect to Goggy by saying that, but it's the fact that I look at Ferrari's drivers right now, and it's no discredit to them, but there's no Haas drivers here. And, each week I see Tier 2, not Tier 1, but Tier 2 specifically. They lack a little bit of stability, I'll put it this way. And you could say a lot of teams do, because a lot of teams do end up making changes within the season. But Ferrari mostly, I look at their lineup for a team that has 3 cars especially. I look at the lineup and I say to myself, look at the lackluster right here, right? Blue Goggy is someone who wasn't a full-time seat previously. He's not right now, but, when he was, obviously, you could see the difference when it separates certain drivers who were and who are now. There's clearly a difference that shows, and certain patterns which show as well. Strat Racer got by FPL. The front 3 stay out again. Remember, Beanick's the only one of the front 3 that are on hards, and these mediums could probably go to lap 23 if we're being honest here. Owen pits, and this is critical because he speeds. He was going over the limit, and that has cost him a 5-second penalty. Where does Bonkers come out to Owen now becomes the question. Bonkers is ahead, but is Owen ahead of Strat Racer now too? Owen coming out of the pit lane now. Strat Racer to his right. You can see Strat Racer coming with a lot more momentum. Here they come out of the pit lane. This is going to be a race out of the pit lane between both drivers. However, Owen gets the upper edge and is ahead. And Strat Racer trying to pass Owen on the hards that are trying to warm up on his Ferrari car. That person, is he pitting? Yes, he is. So is Beanick. And luckily, both those drivers get it in under 50 miles per hour. Now it's L74G's opportunity to do just that. The front 4 are all in. JTK, who pitted earlier in this race, staying out. Valkyrie now takes the lead of this race. A little bit of holding up. It looked like maybe in the pit lane between a couple drivers, but let's see where they come out in comparison to Bonkers. Bonkers very low on that battery, in fact. Oh, before the lead again. JTK. You see that person gets ahead. Beatnik gets ahead. Bonkers now sets his sights on Beatnik. And here's L74G right behind in the process as well. Bonkers third sets his sights on the front 2. Dat person and Beatnik. I'm going to mention the story of that person later on once we get to the cycles, but joined the league 3-4 weeks ago, and he's about to become, I'm not going to say race winner yet, but the driver who's led the most laps in this race, because Bonker spun off, toward the, I'll call it quarter point of this race, the first quarter, and it's just hindered Bonker's chances as well of recovering. He's got a 5-second as well with it, so obviously it helped him overtake L7 on track a little. But now, if he was under the speed limit, and it gave it to him anyway, because I've seen that happen at this track before, Bonkers could still be in the fight to catch a Beatnik and that person and actually make something of it. JTK overtaking Valkyrie for the lead now. Inside line. They go side by side. The 2 Academy drivers at turn 4. And by the exit of turn 5, JTK has overtaken Valkyrie for the lead. that extra speed boost of DRS, battery being used, that all plays a factor. 30% better on the ERS as well from JTK. Yeah, JTK's results, they cannot go unnoticed the last 3 races. Top 5s in the last 3 races. 5th, a 4th, and a 3rd. Do we see a 2nd today? I doubt it, but if we were to have a safety car come into play at some point in this race, it is very possible. Blue Goggy, the only driver yet to pit in this race. And that's Strat Racer, who's crashed out of the session. And speaking of safety cars, we've gotten one. This is crucial to the top 3 in this race, and that person is coming back to the pit lane. Previously stayed out, and now back to the pit lane, so his lead vanishes. Bonkers, L74G come in. Instinct stays out, so a mix of opinions and a mix of choices from all the drivers on the racetrack. Owen's in. FBL looks to be coming in. So split decision between our drivers. Beatnik, Instincts, that's your top 2. Then it's JTK, Valkyrie, and Doubt Person. So JTK trying to continue that streak of top 5s and finishes that improve a place each race. Well, this is the prime opportunity to do just that. Valkyrie with a penalty, Bonkers with a penalty, all gonna come into play right here. And I absolutely feel right now for Doubt Person, because the game has just put him on 19-lap old mediums. That's going to hinder his chances. He's surely going to have to pit again. Those mediums will be towards 60-70% by the restart if he doesn't pit right now. Yeah, you had to get off those hards. You had to get on the mediums, but it would not allow Dat Person to put on a new set of mediums. And speaking of penalties, Bonkers, I spoke about Bonkers not too long ago. That 5-second is no longer a thing for Bonkers. He's gotten rid of it, so he is free to play for in this race. FBL, Jim Bob, Valkyrie are drivers in this race with a penalty. And Strat Racer crashed there at turn number 11, I believe, no, turn 10. Turn 10 it was right there. And that person pitting again for a 3rd time in this race. It is just unfortunate, because he was going for the win. He had the choice there of not pitting and staying out. He would have been under a lot of heat though from it, because you could argue that a driver like that person is under a lot of pursuit, a lot of heat, tense pressure, and trying to hold off the drivers, and he's on a compound that's not going to help him. I mean, just not what you want. Puts him back in the pack, and we see if he can recover for a podium, but I doubt it unless something crazy happens within these final 13 laps, the remaining points of this race. Owen also pitted there in the safety car for Haas as well. I don't know if he had any damage, but he puts himself back in the pack as well. Remember, Owen's not finished worse than 2nd in his starts this season. You know, they always say you got to have one bad race at some point. Reese had that in Tier 1, and he's not the champ. Well, he's the championship leader. He wasn't the championship leader after it, though, obviously. But that is exactly what happens. Owen obviously having both hands in the title for doing it, helping Red Bull out, getting it with the Drivers' Championship as well. Owen's just calm right now. Owen's calm. He has every right to be. But being back here on hards now, and in a Ferrari, and potentially that record of his of 2nd place finishes potentially going down the drain. I mean, there's a little bit of worrying right here for Owen, I'm just saying. But who knows if he cares about records, right? I wouldn't care as well if I was a driver. I just want to go out there and race, and that's what most of these guys do. That's it. I mean, that's a fact. That's exactly what they do. They go out here and race every week. And speaking of races, got some later on this weekend. Tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK is Tier 1. Catch the action then. I'll be there with Titan Iron Wolf. They are at Hungary, the Tier 1 boys. Abu Dhabi as well for F2. That is the season finale for them. The Constructors title on the line. 11:15 a.m. Eastern, 4:15 p.m. UK time. Now you saw Jim Bob join back the session, although he's got 6 seconds of penalties. He'll be back in the hunt of this as well. He'll be caught up to the back of the pack if he can get there just in time, if it is coming in this time. Also, Bulgogi, a name as well. We've mentioned quite a bit, maybe overused, a little bit of bad juju with him, but he actually has a legitimate chance to score his first points of the season right here. Look at the penalties on the board. FBL, Valkyrie. Jim Bob's out of this race. That's a glitch right there. He lagged out of the session and it's completely retired his car. So now we're down to 11 runners now. Oh, what bad hopes for Jim Bob to end this race. Not how he wanted to end it, but it's also how Beatnik wants to end it. By having the safety car come in and lead this race. Here he comes. Green flag is back in the air and he leads. He's foot to the floor. Here's Bonkers already in L74G. Gets the move done behind that. Owen on PK. Gets the move done there as well. So they are through for position. And Jim Bob comes back to the session seeing his car retired. Not going to be happy with that. Valkyrie and others trying to warm up their tires, trying to find some time. Here's Dat Person in L74G, side by side in the background. L74G is going to hang on. Here's Dat Person diving down the inside again. He's trying to find the time in the world that he can to catch back up to the pack. He's on the soft tires. They're going to wear out eventually, but use them now. That's exactly the motive he's going with. L74G also following in the back of Bonkers, trying to help himself and his academy driver catch back up to the pack. And here's Valkyrie and JTK playing some mind games here. Turn 13, now 14. They go wheel to wheel. JTK off the road for a moment, and Valkyrie as well, trying to defend off Bonkers now. Bonkers going to try for 2 and 1 around the outside. Inside line for turn 2. If he can just hold it, he can't. And FBL with Owen as well. That's back in the pack. That's 8th and 9th place on the boards as well. JTK also trying to follow Bonkers and maybe go for a move. They're side by side at turn 4. Inside line. They make contact. JTK is ahead for now. And L74G following pursuit as well. Here's that person also behind. He's looking to make a move again. He did it the previous lap, or at least tried it. Bump, bump, hit, hit. You see that once again? That person down the inside at the Alex Albon corner, and they avoid contact. Bonkers also following JTK in the train. Instincts has lost a second to Beatnik for the lead right there, and it's costing everybody time because Valkyrie is behind and now is ahead. JTK also, by the way, a second out as DRS gets enabled. Instincts is going to fight this back. No, not surely into turn 1. And they both back out of that. JTK back into a second, so this is crucial to this race. Valkyrie also with a Mercedes 1-2, but at the expense of a penalty. Here comes Bonkers to turn 4. Outside line. They're going to pitch each other. They almost make contact. And FBL and Owen behind that as well, and they make more contact. Owen is ahead. And L74G and JTK back at it in this fight for 5th place as well. Potentially for 4th with penalties applied at the end of this too. That person wants his fair share of ground on the outside line. They touch. They touch again. That was a little more contact. And that person is ahead as Owen gets ahead of FBL. They're just all jockeying for position late in this race, and Beatnik hasn't won the season. It's been a while since he's won, but he's getting chased down by his teammate Valkyrie with Mercedes out in front, trying to do what they can. You know, Red Bull and Ferrari, they're the only 2 teams who've won the season. Red Bull at 7, Ferrari with 3. Mercedes want to add their name to that as Owen and FBL and PK and Gagi all duke it out here. Blue Gagi on his teammate. Outside line right here. Out of the exit of turn 3. Up in front of that person following us on 4G. FBL and Owen. They touch! Around they go! That's Owen around. And he's outside the points. On a day where he may not finish on the podium for the first time this season, he's now outside the points. That promotes Bulgogi and both Alfa Romeos into the points, as well as they were just battling right there too. Here they come. We're looking at 3/4 of this race being completed. Just under 25% of this race left. Valkyrie still following suit. It's a 6-car DRS train at the front of the field. And then they break away behind that. Owen's going to want to catch back up to be within 3 seconds of FPL by the end of this race. However, behind that person is hungry for more points. Remember, Valkyrie's podium would promote Bonkers onto the podium, and it would mean Red Bull have the most constructors' points in a single season. Right now, with the way things stand, I think that person just moved L740 out of the way. They make contact again. L740 with a penalty. L740 slides now. So Valkyrie's got the fastest lap, but if points were to be applied right now, it would be 338 for Red Bull. And for Beanick's last win, we go all the way back. I mean, we go back a far amount. Singapore last season. Here we go for the lead. Valkyrie with a penalty. Bonkers for third. Valkyrie is through on his teammate. And now that puts Beanick in a vulnerable spot behind. However, luckily for Beanick, they battle behind. Bonkers up to third. Nat P2 with the penalties. And Instincts is going to fight this back because Bonkers has no battery left on his car. Here's Instincts for the outside line to turn 4. Bonkers shuts the door. So now Bonkers gets his chance at a second race victory for Red Bull. This would also mean a third race victory in a row. Bonkers denied Groggers in Vegas. Bonkers denied Molly last week. And Bonkers, we've been denying a third different car, Mercedes, this week. It will be Beanick and Valkyrie. The question I sort of formed with Valkyrie, can the 3-second window be possible here? You're about to break DRS from Beatnik. You're leaving Beatnik vulnerable. They're going to battle. But do you have enough time? The DRS from Beatnik is just a lot more, though, which is the worrying part for Valkyrie. See, when Beatnik last won, he also won twice in that same season in Tier 2 as well. He won with Red Bull. He won with Mercedes. And now he's trying to win with Mercedes in the same season that he was demoted back down to Tier 2. He's holding on to the net lead for now. It'd be Mercedes' first win of the season as well if Beanick can also hold on, because Red Bull have 7 wins, Ferrari have 3. They share the 10 wins all together. It's been 2 wins, or two teams that have won in a season, excuse me, right there. Interesting how that works. Singapore, Austria, and Brazil would be his last 3 wins if he were to win today, Beatnik. The irony in that is 3 different continents of the world that would be. How amazing. And Valkyrie cannot pull this 3-second gap as things stand. A lot more battery being used from Beatnik right here. A lot more battery in the cards for Beatnik. Look at the gap that's closing for the lead right now. Beatnik is right there again to take over the race lead. He's got the net race lead, but he doesn't have the lead on track. As you can see, Bonkers is closing that gap. He is coming fast and he's coming hard. Here comes Bonkers once again. Beanick following the teammate. 3 cars under a very warm blanket right now for the race lead. Instincts also wants his chance. He's going to be on the podium if the penalties do get applied at the end of this. Remember, all these are 3-second penalties. Owen right now sits outside the points. Owen, I don't know the last time he's not finishing the points in Tier 2, but it's been a while. I'll tell you that. It's not happened this season. Remember, Bonkers with, right now, I know Minions and Groggers are not here, but this surely secures second place in the Drivers' Championship with it, even if they were here. Not only that, but it also extends Red Bull's gap also to 3:41 maybe? Yellow flags, that's FPL around. But here we go for the lead once again on lap 33. Beatnik's down the inside of the teammate of Valkyrie. Bonkers trying to go in also hot pursuit with it as well. Cannot do it. Beatnik gets the lead done and the move done, and Valkyrie with DRS back now on the run to turn 4. Bonkers as well as following. She is just waiting for a move on her. Can't get it done. Valkyrie slides. If Valkyrie can pull a gap, she can still hang on to a top 5 finish, preferably 4th right here, but it just is not being done right now as FPL has crashed, and Owen is now back into the points. FBL's races come crashing down. Not the way he wanted to end his Tier 2 season. He is sliding, trying to get back going. And is spinning at turn 4. However, back to the net lead here. Bonkers trying to get on a Valkyrie so Bonkers can get by Valkyrie to get to Beatnik. Can't do it just yet. Valkyrie holds on. And with 3 laps remaining, you have to protect for the teammate rather than your own race right here. You're gonna finish outside the podium at a bare minimum if you're Valkyrie, but protect for your teammate. That's all you can ask for. Here comes Bonkers. Outside line now on Valkyrie. Bonkers, they make contact. Bonkers is ahead for now. They make more contact. They wheel bang again, and they almost collide into turn 6. Valkyrie still remains ahead somehow after that debacle. We're about to reach the penultimate lap, and Beatnik is about to become on the top step of the podium. For the first time since Singapore last season, you'd have to go all the way back to May. It would be May, the beginning of May. 4-month drought for Beatnik. He returned to Tier 2 because of his poor performances from Tier 1. He lost out on the podium last week. He called it a team performance to get Aston Martin 3 and 4. The appeals, they changed itself. He lost out on that podium that he was celebrating for a good 24 hours. And now, this will be a good recovery story for Beatnik as well. However, Bonkers, with his fair share of battling, with the fair share of overtaking right here, is not done just yet. It would be a record-breaking point score for Red Bull in a constructor season. But more importantly, I think Bonkers wants that win. Instincts as well, trying to take over 4th place in the constructors title, or sorry, the drivers' championship as well. Bonkers to the inside, he switches back, they make contact. Almost around goes Bonkers, but Valkyrie remains in 2nd. And almost is out of DRS. Inside line here. This is before DRS is enabled. And before the detection point, Valkyrie with amazing defending holds on. And again, we're about to reach the final lap. But which way is Valkyrie promoting Bonkers to go? DRS for both. Bonkers with no battery to the outside line. Valkyrie trying to hang on to it. Bonkers inside at turn 2. Valkyrie still defending, and off the road goes Bonkers. Comes back on behind Instincts. Now Instincts gets the opportunity at Valkyrie. Valkyrie might be able to hold on for P4 right here with the battling between L74G and Dat Person again. But it's not going to be the podium she would have wished for. Beautiful defending from Valkyrie for the teammate, especially. No podium this season, but at least helping out for a Mercedes win potentially if they could just finish the deal here in the last sector. That person ahead of L74G on the road there as well. Valkyrie is going to have to defend here. 2nd place as Owen takes the fastest lap. That will be an extra point as he is running 10th place. Valkyrie, beautiful defending. Again, you're going to have to hold on to the line here, it looks like. Beatnik came down to Tier 2 after his bad performances in Tier 1. It's been since Singapore of last season that he won in Tier 2. He's going to do it again. Mercedes do it again. For the first time this season, Mercedes are victorious, but most importantly, Beatnik, for the first time in 4 months, back on the top step of the podium. It stinks. Holds on for second. Bonkers third. And that means that Red Bull, a very big total in the Constructors title. 338 points, the most anyone's ever done in a season. It was 335 the previous total. Valkyrie holds on to fourth. It was not enough there for a podium. Good defending though. FBL and Owen now going to battle for 10th. If Owen does not hang on here to some extent, he's not going to get the fastest lap. FBL and Owen trading spots right here, you can see on the track. Damage for FBL, no front wing. I guess just messing around to end off the Tier 2 season. Blugagi gets points for the first time this season. He took 11 rounds to do so. Congrats to him. And Owen will hold on penalties. Oh my God, big crash. Owen holds on for P10. His worst finish of the season. But hey, it comes in a Ferrari, right? All of his bad finishes, we'll say, or all of his good finishes, all of his top 2 finishes come in a Red Bull. And here you go. Here are your podium sitters and your ceremony. You got to feel for that person. Definitely have to some extent, surely. Just put him on older tires. Instinct says that's some of the best battles he's seen in Tier 2. I agree. It was an amazing race, and I'm glad we were able to get the action to you for the full distance in RPL. Mercedes, Ferrari, Red Bull, your top 3. I really should say Mercedes, McDonald's, Red Bull. Last time Beatnik won, he started P3 on the grid. Second row, he wins again from the second row. His last 3 wins have now come in 3 different continents. Blugagi, first points of the season. JTK does not keep up the top 5 finishes, but hey, still decent showing from him. That person, it's all of what could have been. Fastest lap goes to Owen, obviously. There you have it. Here's your final results of the Tier 2 season. Beatnik, Instincts, Bonkers, Valkyrie, that person. 4 different teams inside the top 5. And then you see the rest of the order from here. There are your final results on the season. All right, you know what? We're going to do something different. I usually don't do it on the Tier 2 streams, but we'll give you a race win to give us off some time here, 5-10 minutes here. That'd be amazing. Race is over, Titan. You are correct there. I gave Beatnik an invite. We'll give him one more. There we go. Beatnik Masters Brazil makes the most of it. You know, the race was wide open as soon as Bonkers spun from the lead. And Bonkers came back to finish on the podium, which is impressive too. Easier to do in a Red Bull for Bonkers, but you know, the thing that they'll be focusing on at Red Bull tonight is the Constructors title that they obviously wrapped up last week. And also, well, I meant the previous week, excuse me. And they're also going to be focusing on a record that no other team has had winning the constructors title. Excuse me. Wow, that's a mouthful. 338 points compared to the previous record of 335, most in a single season. Speaking about a single season, you're about to not win a race this season in Tier 2, Beatnik. You know, Red Bull and Ferrari were the only two teams that had previously won this season. 7 wins for Red Bull, 3 wins for Ferrari. You now put Mercedes on that list of teams that have won a race. How about that? A win for Mercedes, a win from you, and a good defending from your teammate Valkyrie to get you the win. Talk us through the last couple laps, what you were thinking, and as soon as the safety car came out.
Well, first of all, I shouldn't have won that race. Mickey Mouse. I didn't have the fastest of cars. Qualifying showed that, but started on hards, avoided the carnage. From there on, it was just try to keep up with the top guys and see what happens. Bonky spun, Owen spun, and then I pitted for the medium tire. Great race tire. But then the safety car came out, and then everybody ahead of me pitted. I'm like, oh, okay, guess I'm leading now. I just tried to manage my pace. I had a really low downforce setup, apparently, because I had ridiculous straight line speed. I thought Valkyrie was going to get the dub, because she passed me, and I'm like, oh, she's going to pull away. And it didn't happen. And then eventually I had to pass her back, or else I would have been done by Bunky. So overall, it's not my win. It's a Mercedes victory. Couldn't have done it without her. So it's a team victory
Absolutely.
today.
Absolutely. You mentioned the team first last week when it came to Italy, where you were on the podium for a good 24 hours. JTK took it back, and obviously you're up to the bigger boys with Mercedes this week. Bigger boys and girls, I should say. And you ended up taking, I guess, in a sense, redemption. Although it's, you know, a Mickey Mouse win to you, you took redemption in a sense of last week, where you were right there in the podium last week and didn't get it. This week you ended up getting the win from it. And when you saw the battling behind you and even Valkyrie not pull away, what went through your mind when you had to re-overtake Valkyrie? What were you hoping was going to happen, and the battling behind you? Were you just praying that they were just barely out of your DRS so you could pull away?
Well, when I first passed Valk, my first thought was, oh, I hope she does not get overtaken because of this, because on that lap that I passed her, it was either overtake her or get overtaken by Bonky, and
yeah, exactly.
So I made the move. Thankfully, she managed to hold off Bonky for a little bit there, and from there on, my whole plan was just keep her about 6-7 tenths away, because I knew my straight line speed would just give her a massive tow without her getting too close to where she has to overtake me. So in the end, it worked out, and seeing all the battling behind me, I was getting a bit thankful, but I think with like 2 or 3 to go, I had to start backing off a little bit so that I could keep giving her DRS, just so that she could stay ahead, because I knew if she got overtaken, the race would have become so much more difficult. So, like I said, total team victory. Couldn't have done it without her today, and Mercedes first dub. And I think that hopefully this time this tier 2 win stays. My last 2 both got taken away. So
yeah, it's interesting you say that. I was going to mention, you know, last Mercedes win before that was actually at the finale of last season with tier 2 with your teammate Josh. It was a 1-2 right there, and you know, another excellent effort from Mercedes to have amazing teamwork. But I want to ask you one last question before we invite Owen, our champion, in here. Did you know your last win came in Singapore, round 8, beginning of May, 4 months ago? So it's your first win in RPL in 4 months.
Well, actually, fun fact, that win didn't count. I got kicked off the top spot because I did a no-no and I wrecked Leighton, so
oh, I see.
That win didn't count, and I
tickets.
also had a win at Austria, but that got taken away by the rule book. So
I see now. I see.
And so technically, this is finally my first tier 2 victory. So
Oh, very nice.
technically. But
Yeah,
big day for
true.
Mercedes. 1-2 on track,
Absolutely.
huge, and we're gonna try and carry this momentum into next season.
Absolutely, and you're the only team that is not Red Bull or Ferrari to win the season. I know that sounds funny saying it, but it really is true because they dominated the season with all their drivers they had running for them, Red Bull and Ferrari, and Mercedes thought they'd come in at the last moment. You guys did just that, so congratulations on the win today and the amazing battles you all provided us. It was amazing to watch from up here.
Yeah. There were some really fun battles in there. I can't remember them all, but me personally, I didn't do much battling. Me and Luke had some fun in the early stages. That was enjoyable, and I think apart from that, that was really the only major fight I had besides me and Valk. But overall, I think that was a really fun race, and couldn't have won it, one without Valk, and two without the luck of that safety car, because I think that the McLaren driver, forgot his name, he would have got me back. I would have I think
Yeah,
I feel
that
like I would
person.
have passed
Yep.
him, but then he would have got me back towards the end. So with the fall off of the mediums, but fantastic race and a great way to end the season.
Yeah, congratulations, and I hope it stays. I'll say that for the least.
Uh,
I would have had different, I would have different opinions a while ago, but I'm glad that you ended up giving us some action, and I didn't know those wins didn't stay. I knew the Austria one didn't, but the Singapore one and one I was not familiar with. So interesting though.
yeah, my
Oh,
last
you
win was
correct me on that.
Monza season 7. So
Wow. So we go far way back.
not tier
Then.
2, that was tier 1, but
Right.
yeah,
Even then, we still go far way back because it's 2 seasons ago
yeah,
and
a year.
in tier one.
It's
So
been a
yeah.
year. I don't count
Last
F2.
game.
I don't count F2. So
Yeah, I don't blame you on that. I wouldn't. I wouldn't either for wins unless it's overall all time or whatever you want to call it.
yeah, whatever. But
So we're gonna invite our champion in here, Owen. We're gonna give him an interview for the people. We're gonna let be aware of the invite now,
give him my
in case he doesn't
congrats. I
see it.
gotta head out.
I'm
All right,
the
enjoy,
greatest of all
B-Nick.
time.
Congratulations, Owen.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Congratulations on your victory royale.
Thank you very much,
Yeah,
good sir.
absolutely.
It's very American.
Owen, good to have you here. Firstly,
Thank you, thank
first of all, before any questions, congrats on the Tier 2 title. I know it's been a little bit overshadowed with you missing a couple of races,
you.
but
Yes.
and you clinched it last week as well, so not the main talking point today, but the main talking point throughout the previous races throughout the season was the fact that when you were with Red Bull, you had not finished worse than second in any of your races.
Yes.
You missed a couple of races as well. Do you feel like your strong, dominant performances of not finishing worse than second is what helped you propel to this point with winning the title?
I think it was 75.9% the car and 24.1% my ability not to bottle. But yeah, I think it's just everyone around me, they would make their wee silly mistakes. I usually just didn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously being in the fastest car, it's very easy to stay up front,
It
but
is,
it's
yeah.
also a lot harder to not bottle it either. And you ended up obviously finishing outside the points today, but recap your season in general
I
and the
finished
drivers
10th.
you raced.
I
You
finished
raced.
10th.
That's true. That's true. You still finished inside the points. I'll give you credit.
Yeah.
But yeah, recapping your season, recapping the drivers you raced, Minions, you raced Bonkers, Groggers, so many drivers you got to race throughout the season, and the fun battles that came with it. How will you remember this season most when it comes to outside of your championship?
I will remember it for the first few races being enjoyable because I was with teammates with Groggers, who is a good friend. Then I'll remember it for him hilariously getting himself sacked. And then I will remember it for me being scared of Bonky's pace every race, but then me just outsmarting him in the strategic battle. And then I also remember it for my disaster class in the Ferrari at the end of the race, where I I may or may not have bottled it a few times.
Yeah, absolutely. And um, as for next season for Tier
Yes,
2, I see you're at Haas. Is that correct?
I am indeed.
So a little bit farther back in the field, car performance wise, tell the viewers whether obviously they race or they don't race in RPL, regardless, because it is realistic cars for people who are unfamiliar. Um, what is it like the difference in racing on a car such as Red Bull or Ferrari, like you have this
Oh,
season, up front battling, compared to racing in a Haas, which is back in the midfield? Does your mindset ever change in the sense of, well, I got to be careful when I'm following cars because I'm behind a lot more people being in the midfield? Or does it really stay the same of going all out? What do you kind of look at it as in the difference from Red Bull, Ferrari to Haas now for next season?
well, usually when I say I'm in the Red Bull and I got stuck behind traffic, I would usually just wait for the straights because the car does it all. But now, obviously, in the Haas, sorry if you hear an alarm. I don't know why there's an alarm going off in my house. Um,
All good.
it's very loud. Can you hear
I
it?
can't hear it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
No,
I'll
I
just
can't.
try and
I heard the beep. I heard the one beep, but that's it.
I'll try and speak over it. Yeah, in the Haas, I'm just gonna have to get my elbows out a lot more now. And the tire wear apparently is pretty poor, so I'm gonna have to do strategic geniuses. So I think it's actually gonna be um more stressful than being in a top car actually, because when you're in a top car, there's the drivers at the top are usually not like too dirty, and you're gonna get a good old scrap. But then now that I'm in the Haas, I could get amongst it a bit too much and get my like front wing taken off. Maybe my car goes flying into the grandstands. So I don't know. It could be a bit crazy, but we'll give it a little go.
Absolutely. It should be interesting to see how it all fares out. Trying to think of where I was. Oh yeah, I remember I was going to get at. I lost train of thought there for a moment. The state of RPL. That's my
Yes,
last question for you. Let's talk about. I mean, Tier Two's had its inconsistency with attendance sometimes this season.
it does.
Driving standards, maybe a little bit. It's been good and it's good and bad
Yeah.
here and there. How would you describe this season as you are an admin, compared to previous? Is there anything you want to say to the viewers or just in general about not only the state of RPL as well this season, but also in terms of preparation for next as well for Tier 2?
Well, I would say for the most part, this season has been a little bit better in tier two at least. Well, from what I've seen, I haven't really seen much of the midfield to be fair. But as I do steward like almost everything, it's been a little bit cleaner, I'd say, than it usually is. Apart from Belgium, where Leon and Callum decided to turn up the heat with their crashing. But otherwise, I'd say it's pretty good this season. F2, I literally know nothing about F2 anymore. I never look at F2 anymore. Um, but tier one, I'd say as well, has been okay so far. I mean, I just the games. It's a little bit easier to drive with the game, so I think it's sort of carried over with driving standards. That people aren't really crashing into each other as much now. And I think now it's a lot easier. Oh, my voice is going. I think it's a lot easier to race cleaner now because you're not making too many
I
mistakes
agree.
because the cars you're able to control them a lot easier. And most of the incidents are just down to driver stupidity now, I reckon. So take that how you will. Um, Obviously we had the incident with Stenner the other day in Tier One, which was pretty naughty. Um, I had a little coming togethers with FBL this race, but when I rewatched them. I don't know if it's my fault or his. I'll have to discuss it. But yeah, I think it's been okay. It could be better, obviously, but you're always going to get aggressive racing because people are fighting for every inch of track, and it's just going to happen. But hopefully we improve it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you mentioned the Tier 1 debacle. I saw as well. I think Tier 1 looked like they were going backwards again slightly, and then they started to improve it with Austria and Britain. They gave us many great racing throughout the whole field, many action-packed racing. Couldn't think of how I was going to word it there. And, they've only had, I look at incidents penalized 3 or so at Tier 1. They've been pretty decent. And, that's kind of what you expect from most leagues, I would say, is Tier 2. Tier 2's been on and off. And you mentioned Belgium. I luckily wasn't there for that one. And, that was interesting with the sprint format. And then you mentioned F2 as well. I don't blame you for that as well either, because that's where most of the incidents penalized come from. So yeah, and speaking of F2, I know I want to ask on stream this question about F2 next season. Obviously, season 18, there's the potential for that being the final F2 season, mainly due to driving standards and all. Obviously, signups are open. We've promoted that on stream a lot. But is there anything you can give us in terms of F2 on whether or not that is going to be the final season for F2 as things stand right now? And I'll leave it off at that.
In all honesty, we don't actually know for certain yet, because we joke around in parties and all. We always say this. It is RPL heritage F2. Like RPL started with F2. Like when I first joined RPL, it was called IOR, and the first races I ever did were in F2. Reese, I think he's watching the stream. He'll know he did a race in Belgium in F2. It was the first time I think he was in this league, and it would be a little bit sad to see it go. But hopefully, it's just now, because over the seasons, 18 seasons. It's because people now know its champions are back. People just see it as, oh, it's just fun, haha, let's mess about, haha. So people don't really care too much. But I don't know. I think we should always keep it, because I think it's RPL heritage. It's always been there, and I think it always should be until the league self explodes. But yeah, I think RPL F2 hopefully will outlive me as a human being. That'll be optimal.
Absolutely. It's very interesting to think about how, RPL, like you said, RPL heritage there, the history behind it with F2 and everything. Yeah, I'm with you on that to some extent too. We'll see what happens with F2 tomorrow as well, and F2 next season, and even onwards from that too, because that's where the action continues. Tomorrow, 11:15 a.m. Eastern, 4:15 p.m. UK time at Abu Dhabi for F2. Cherouz could claim the title for the constructors, or Prema could take it, and Tier 1 as well at 3 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. UK time tomorrow for Hungary. That should be tons of fun. Owen, you're racing F2 tomorrow or Tier 1?
I am working tomorrow, so I could be in Tier 1. But
maybe, we'll see.
Probably
maybe alone.
Not, because I really shit at it this year.
We'll see. All right. Should be tons of fun either way if you are or aren't. Catch the action with me and Titan for Tier 1 at Hungary tomorrow, and by myself for the F2 Constructors Title Decider. Until next time, have a good one.
Goodbye.